Okay, hello and welcome to the final day of the Small Business and Nonprofit Conference. Today's sessions are all virtual, and we're wrapping up with an amazing prize, a $200 Amazon gift card sponsored by Simply Analytics. No need to grab any tickets today. Your presence in each Zoom session automatically enters you into the drawing. The more sessions you attend, the more chances you have to win. The winner will be announced by Monday, so keep an eye on your inbox. This session will be recorded and available on the library's YouTube channel. You will also receive a follow-up email with a copy of the presentation, any handouts, and a link to the recording. The email will also include a feedback survey. We really value your feedback, so please take a moment to complete the conference feedback form. Your input is essential in helping us to provide the best experience possible. We will also include a link to that form at the end of this session. If you have any questions or comments, please use the chat. All right, let's get started. My name is Cameron Riesenberger, and I am the Assistant Manager of the Information Services Department at the St. Louis County Library. Thank you for joining us today for our presentation by Dan Montgomery on AI Chatbots 101, what every small business owner should know in 2025. Dan is a UX designer and educator teaching AI, no code, and design at Treehouse, and he's worked with both startups and Fortune 500 companies, helping them harness the latest tools to build smarter, faster, and more creatively. Welcome, Dan. Oop, we can't hear you at the moment.
Oh, apologies. Can you hear me now?
There you are. All right, sounds
Awesome.
good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And so happy to be here today. I'm very happy for the St. Louis County Library for inviting us, Treehouse, to be here. And I'm very happy to get started and to discuss AI chatbots and how they can be useful in your business. And if we're ready to get started, I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right. Let me see here. Okay, everyone should see my screen, and it should be the AI Chatbots 101 presentation.
Looks good.
Okay, awesome. All right. Thank you all for joining once again. And my name is Daniel Montgomery, and today we are talking about AI chatbots and what every small business should know in 2025. So before we begin, I just want to jump in and clarify, who am I? My name is Dan Montgomery, and I'm a UX designer since 2019. I'm a content producer for Treehouse and an instructor contributing to our UX design, no code, and AI content. And previously, I've worked with brands such as Remax, H&M, and Adobe XD. Now, before we begin, I kind of want to get started by saying, what is AI? AI stands for artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is simply the field of computer science that focuses on creating systems or machines that can perform tasks which normally require human intelligence. These tasks include things like understanding language, recognizing patterns, solving problems, learning from experience, and of course, making decisions. And that brings us to, what are chatbots? A chatbot is a computer program that can have conversations with people in natural language, either through text or speech, audio. It uses artificial intelligence to understand questions or prompts and respond in a way that feels human-like. Just checking for the comments. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, so continuing on, what are chatbots? Chatbots work using large language models, which are just data sets that have been trained on lots of text, and more recently, in the coming months, um, audio and images as well. From this data set, the chatbots have learned patterns in language to understand prompts and to generate responses. Some of these key capabilities include answering questions and explaining concepts, summarizing and rewriting text, translating between languages, helping with creative tasks such as stories, ideas, and generating or debugging code. Next are prompts. What are prompts exactly? A prompt is simply any command that you give the AI. This can be text or audio, and it can be a question, a command, a long paragraph, or even multiple pages of copied content pasted right into the input. Anything you say to the AI is an act of prompting. Now, what are models? Every AI chatbot that you encounter, you'll hear the term models. They all have different models. Each AI assistant, like ChatGPT or Claude, has its own set of models. Uh, GPT-5 or GPT 4.5 are some of the ChatGPT models. Opus 4 and Sonnet 4.5 are some of the Claude models. These are just different versions with specific strengths, specific costs, and speed for various business uses. Some are general purpose models meant for faster or longer results. Other are more output specific driven models made specifically for coding or image generation or even video generation more recently. Now, all of these chatbots coming out have brought a fundamental shift. AI chatbots are like having a skilled assistant available 24/7 who can write, analyze, brainstorm, and problem solve across almost any business function. The key is learning to communicate what you need clearly. With these chatbots and the emergence of them, they're pretty cost effective. Every chatbot I'm going to mention today has a $20 a month plan. And for that $20 a month, you get capabilities that would previously require multiple specialized tools or, even specialized staff members and, of course, a lot of man hours. This levels the playing field for all small businesses. Now, if you do your own research and look around, you'll come to see that there are hundreds of free and paid chatbots all across the web, some more generalized and some with specific topics and use cases. But today, we're going to be discussing what I like to call the big four. That's ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini, and Perplexity. Now, ChatGPT, the core features are voice mode and natural conversation. So you can talk to it in a natural conversation mode and you can talk to it through text, kind of like text messaging back and forth like you would a friend. Or you can even use voice mode, which allows you to talk to it just using your voice and it will respond back, playing the audio back to you. So it's a great way to just brainstorm on the fly. A newer feature that it just recently launched was branch conversations. So, say you're in deep with ChatGPT on a long conversation, and you're wanting to know like how the next question might affect the conversation. Like you don't want to pivot too far away from your initial conversation, or you're unsure of what the next result will be. Well, you can create branches similar to like coding, where you can create different branches and iterations of a project. So now you can have conversation V1, conversation V2, conversation V3, allowing you to explore different options and variations. Next, there's file and image uploads. So when you're asking for context or asking the AI to solve a problem, you can provide files, images, etc. for context. There's what's known as deep research. Deep research is a longer response. It takes a longer time instead of like the initial 30 to 60-second quick response. It can take anywhere from 5 to 10 to even 20 minutes to research topics online, to look through its vast database of data and try to just extrapolate all the data points and bring them all together for one comprehensive research article. And then, of course, there's web search. And we'll talk about this with a few other chatbots, but pretty much every chatbot has the web search feature now. But including ChatGPT, this was an add on later. Like it didn't start out with web search. And that kind of impacts how the chatbot works with that. And again, we'll discuss that later. ChatGPT also has memory, and that allows you to kind of ask it different questions or different prompts about stuff you've already talked to it about. So, like for example, I talked to ChatGPT about a lot of business ideas, a lot of business strategies, pricing, etc. I could say based off what we talked about, give me an updated pricing plan for this business. And because we have this long history of communicating and it has a memory, it can be, oh, the last ideal we discussed was this, and some pricing models and pricing strategies we discussed were this. So based off all that, here's what I think you should do. And it can, formulate a game plan, which is really nice. And then next it has Canvas and project workspaces. Project workspaces Or you could think of those as a continuated or a continuation of a conversation. So you can create almost like a folder, if you will. And when you create the folder, you can start the conversation, and then you can also upload and keep in this folder the files and images like we discussed earlier. And now any new conversation or any conversation I have inside of this project will always kind of remember and retain context around the other conversations, as well as those individual files and images that we specifically uploaded to the project folder. Now, Canvas is kind of similar in that it creates a project workspace for you to work on something, but you could think it more of a web-based Word document, like a Word editor, so that now that you have your response, or like if we asked it to generate us an article, ChatGPT would display it in front of us, but we can actually interact with it. We can delete words, we can ask for more context, we can highlight paragraphs and ask it to rewrite it in a different language. It's a more interactive workflow. So it's very good to go. Um, I see a question over in the chat from Bill, and it says, should one be cautious about uploading proprietary content and processes to ChatGPT in like a project workspace? And yeah, if you're working with a business, there's two ways I would think about this. Uh, you would either want to absolutely do not upload your proprietary information, because there's a chance that ChatGPT will obviously see this, of course, but also train its data on this. Now, more recently, you can go to your account settings and opt out for that. But again, I can't speak to how well that will ensure your data isn't being, still trained or still being seen by members of ChatGPT. However, if you look into some of the team models or team plans and enterprise plans, there is definitely a plan that exempts you from training, to where anything that you're using for business purposes is completely siloed and only in your eyes only, and for your team. It will not train on that data. It will not exploit that data. So I hope that kind of answers that question for you, Bill. Next up, I just want to talk about some of the integrations and special features that you can find in ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a feature called connectors, which allow you to connect to your Google Drive, your Dropbox, SharePoint, Gmail, and a whole load of other Notion, Coda, and it allows you to kind of bring in your data when you're asking questions. So you can ask questions about, your inbox specifically, and it can break that down. There's also custom chat GPTs and personalities. Custom GPTs are very similar to a project. It's what we had before projects were available to us. And it's basically a chat GPT that you kind of give a narrow focus. You kind of want it to execute a specific task, like helping write business strategies. Well, you would kind of give it exclusive instructions that explain, you are a business strategist helping me with my business uncover these pain points, these details, these processes, everything that you want it to do. And then from there, you can start talking to it like a regular chat bot, but it will always have those special instructions in the back of its mind. So it will always be focused for that specific role or task that you give it. So you can, of course, try to ask it generalized questions, but it's made more for, like, in this case, a business planning bot to plan businesses, create those business strategies with us. Next, of course, is language support. As you'll see, all the chatbots have great language support. They support many languages, and this is great for many reasons. You could have people on remote teams from all over, so it can help, translate different documents, different phrases, and just make sure the communication's there. You can also put in your documents you can have. You could put in your landing page or website copy and ask it to be translated or localized for another region. Then you can start creating different versions of your site. So it's really good for those type of instances. There's also built-in data analysis. So it can take your data, and that could be spreadsheets, CSV files, all those sort of things, and it can break down what it's learning from that data. And you can do all sorts of things with this. It can create charts, visualizations, um, all sorts of, you can upload specific, like, social media posts you made, for example. So you have a CSV file completely full of different posts you made or different posts people have made about your brand, you can bring that in and ask the data analysis for like, what's a sentiment analysis? Like, what are people saying? Is it good or bad? How does that compare to other brands in your field? That sort of thing. It's really great for that. Next, there's a study and learn mode. This is for educational purposes, basically. This is really good for if you want to ask ChatGPT a question and not necessarily get the answer right away. If you want to kind of work with it and go back and forth and kind of help yourself learn it and work in a way. It can populate quizzes, flashcards, all sorts of things. So it's great for education. Next is Codex. Codex is a specific feature inside the ChatGPT. You'll see it on the left-hand sidebar, but it kind of brings you into a new window. It's kind of a separate feature, but attached. And Codex is great for coding. It'll bring you into a new window where you can ask ChatGPT specifically to code out certain projects. And also, excuse me, you can hook it up to GitHub and ask it to look at your code and work on certain things. You can ask it to work on a new feature. You can ask it to refactor and optimize your code. You can ask it to look for bugs and fix any errors. So it's a really great feature. And then their latest feature is Sora. Sora originally helped create images, and then it moved into video. And then now, even more recently, as last week, is the Sora app, where people are allowed to clone themselves and then import new videos with them in it. So I've used Sora. It has a digital or avatar clone of me, and now I can like create a video that says, picture me in a sled over the city flying with Santa, and it'll generate a 10-second video clip of me sitting next to Santa on the sleigh flying over the city. It's really fun, really interesting, and I can't wait to kind of see how this expands in the coming months for more business related purposes like creating social media posts, commercials, etc. Up next we have Anthropic's Claude. And one thing I would say about Claude is I have it written here. It's the last bullet point here, but it's the safety first approach. ChatGPT is the best generalized bot, I think, and Claude is a very generalized AI bot as well, AI assistant. But ChatGPT is more focused on innovation, releasing core products to grow their product base and their user base. They're not 100% focused on safety. Now, that doesn't mean they want to harm or, destroy the internet or anything like that. It's just they have a launch and get out and be first mentality. Whereas Anthropic's Claude is a safety first approach. They spend a lot of time not only building their features, but testing them, testing the repercussions of using them, all those sort of things. And they really spend a long time getting to know these features and how well you can use them before releasing them out to the public. So that's a big thing with them. They are very safety first. And as you'll see when I talk about all these chatbots, they share a lot of the same features. Every day they're updating and growing, and they're looking to add new things to separate them from the pack, but they're also looking to catch up with each other. So, of course, it has the voice and natural conversation. You can text to it. You can also voice chat with it as well. It has file and image uploads. It has projects as well, which again is just like a folder where you can upload your documents and keep conversations specifically on this project. And then it has something interesting called artifacts. Artifacts are kind of like ChatGPT's canvas in that it creates a workspace for you to work in, but it's more intricate in that it's not just for like word processing and Word docs. It's more for like coding and anything you can make. Like I've asked it, for example, to create a link in bio website, which is just a website that I can put in my URL and under my social media handles that when people click on it, it takes them to a web page that lists all my other businesses and links that I want to send them to. Well, this is you can go pay for that $5, $10 a month somewhere, but I completely created that from inside Claude by just asking it to. And what it did is it had the text right there on the left, but on the right side, it created a pop out to where it showed me coding the entire project. And then it switched over where it showed me the finished website, the link in bio website, and what it would look like, and I could click on and use it basically. And then from there, I could prompt it further, to where I change the UI, change the colors, and really refine it further. Claude even has deep research and extended thinking as well as web search. And this means it just can respond longer. It could take longer to think about the answer to the results and sure that it's providing greater context and a greater length and greater depth of answer. And again, with web search, it can search the web and try to bring those contexts back into the article it's drafting for you. And just like ChatGPT, Claude also has memory, so it kind of has a context of your overall conversations with it. Some integrations and special features that Claude has, specifically Claude Code. Claude is one of the leading chatbots for coding. It's kind of going back and forth with ChatGPT, but Claude Code is what it's really known for. It's kind of a separate program that allows you to do all types of coding, and you can even install it to your computer and create code and edit your website and everything from the command line. Really advanced, but useful if you're into coding. They also have advanced third-party connectors, just like ChatGPT, that allow you to hook up to Google Drive, Dropbox, your inbox, etc. But what's kind of unique, which I expect ChatGPT to get as well, is Claude has third-party extension to control your computer, to where it can, if you give it a task to do something and it involves like making new folders on your system, creating new Word files, editing files, etc., Claude can do all that if you give it the permissions. Then there's, of course, language support for many languages and the built-in data analysis. Next up, we have Google Gemini. And the core features of Google Gemini, just like the rest of our chatbots, the voice mode, natural conversations, the ability to talk through it through text and voice, the ability to upload files and image for extra context, deep research for extended articles and extended responses, web search to find more, real time, and memory. Now, something to keep in mind with the web search feature, specifically in Gemini, is Gemini is a Google owned product, and Google owns, of course, Google, the search engine, as well as YouTube, which can kind of considered a search engine. So it has stronger data in some cases, and a lot of chatbots currently don't like analyzing YouTube videos. So if you send it like a link to a YouTube video, some will go to the YouTube link and go to that page, find the text transcript, analyze that, and try to give you a response. But Gemini, because it's integrated in YouTube, it does a much better job. It can summarize videos, it can point out stuff about videos, it can give you quizzes, flashcards, all that on videos just by providing the YouTube link. So it's really useful and a good way to catch up on information that's in video if you don't have time to necessarily watch the whole video, a 2 3 hour long, in-depth type of thing. It's perfect for that. Now, some of the integrations and special features that Google Gemini has. First of all, ChatGPT has image generation, and it kind of blew up, but so does Google Gemini. It has its own image generation, and it has a specific image generation model known as Nano Banana. And if you've been online, I'm sure you've kind of heard of Nano Banana, and it's because it's very much like a interactive version of Photoshop, if that makes sense. You're talking to Gemini just as you would a chatbot, but you can ask for an image and it'll generate that image. So I could say, generate a mock up of a coffee cup of my new coffee brand. It's bee themed, and it'll give me a coffee cup with a bee on it. And then I could say, okay, give me that same shot, but from a different angle or a different background, or put it in a scene where someone's sitting there and it's at their table. It will take that same image it generated before and use that as context to regenerate that same item under the new context. It's very powerful. Much like all AI, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it takes iterations and prompts, but it's very powerful, very useful. Furthermore, there's video generation, similar to ChatGPT Sora. Uh, Theirs is called VO3. And I have to say, when prompted correctly, it's some of the most realistic looking video on the internet. I've seen people create realistic commercials for their brand using this, and it's pretty powerful. Now, just a heads up, just because I don't want anyone to jump on to buy the $20 plan in Gemini, thinking they're going to be able to just go crazy, unlimited image generations and video generations. You have unlimited image generation in Gemini. I'm not sure about video generation because it's a way more expensive to generate video, but you will be throttled and you will be placed on limits. You can't just keep continuously doing it. And if you're using the VO3 specific um, attachment, which I think is called Flow, if you're using Flow to generate images or videos, you will be on a credit based system. And I'm pretty sure with Gemini, you get 1,000 credits on the $20 plan. Sounds like a lot, but generating a high definition video is 100 credits. So you get 10 clips. Each clip is about 8 seconds long. So just something to keep in mind. And then just going back to the special features, of course, Gemini, like the other bots, all support multiple languages and have built-in data analysis, and it can code as well. Again, it's not necessarily what it's known for, and it's not an industry leader in that sense, but it can be done. And lastly, we have Perplexity. Perplexity is a search-based chatbot. So it has the voice mode and the natural conversations, just like every other bot. It has the ability to upload files, upload images. You can do the deep research for extended responses, have it respond back with articles it created. And it has web search, of course, and it has memories to where, it's going to kind of remember loosely the context of the conversations you've been having with it over time. Now, I will say, in my experience, Perplexity probably has the weakest ability to remember key important factors in your conversation. But again, this is kind of a new feature to it. Now, the X factor for is Perplexity is heavily integrated with online search. Now, if you go back to what I said, all the other chatbots were created as chatbots, and then eventually they added online search later, as it was determined it was really needed and something that the users really wanted. Perplexity was created with online search from the get go. That's why it was created. It was created to actively pull in data and to compare that with the data set it has, because all the data sets these chatbots have a cutoff date. So it takes the knowledge it already has and it compares that with what it's learning from off the internet, and it tries to combine the two to create a more real time answer and response for you. And another thing that separates Perplexity from the pack is ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. They all have their own proprietary models. Perplexity has its own proprietary models as well. They have a model called Sonar, and I think they have a couple other ones. However, they also have model access from ChatGPT, Claude, and Google. So, example, ChatGPT 5 is a big one, Claude Sonnet 4.5, and Google's Model 2.5. Those are the biggest models for each of those individual chatbot platforms. You have access to all of those inside Perplexity. You have the ability to switch. So you can talk to Perplexity and make sure the mind or the brain behind it is a Perplexity model, or you could actually, start using ChatGPT through Perplexity, use Claude through Perplexity. And this is a good way to save money. You still pay the one uh, price of $20 a month to use and access Perplexity, but now you can change your models and get the responses that you would get from having those others as well. And I see we have a question in chat. Misty asked, as it relates to creating new documents in ChatGPT or Claude, has there ever been an issue with downloading the new, let's say, Word document? No. Normally, there's a download button right at the top in the corner, as well as a copy button that lets you just copy all the text. Now, if for any reason that's not showing up, you can also ask, create a download link or create a download button, and then it will go back in, create a specific link or download button that allows you to click on it and then download that Word doc or PDF or whatever you generated. And Bill just asked, how does real time search of um, real-time search capacity of Perplexity compared to X's Grok. Have found X reasonably worthwhile, but still require human expertise to know what's missing. That's something we're going to talk about later. Is no matter what chatbot you're using, it's still, has those cutoff dates and it's still finding new data through the search, but combining the two is where it can kind of trip up itself and create false information, which we call hallucinations. But it can start to hallucinate and create stuff that it didn't find in the search and just isn't real to begin with. So you definitely have to watch that with all chatbots. I will say again, Perplexity to me is like a front runner. I think um X's Grok, in my personal experience, I haven't used it a whole lot, but it's great for finding real time information on X specifically. Like when I have to find something that relates to or trending on X, it does a pretty good job there. Whereas Perplexity, sometimes it can't go into certain social media sites like X or Reddit and really extract all the data you need. But I find it does an incredible job at searching throughout the internet for general information and real-time information 9 times out of 10. Now, of course, like with any chatbot response, you're going to want to check and validate that it's correct yourself because it could always just do something a little different. Okay, Misty, you said comes over is a little wonky. Is that supposed to be Claude? I think Claude's a little wonky. So perhaps it's the capacity of my computer. Well, we're gonna get talk about this later, but I see that you said, you're writing a long research paper and you're not sure if the length of the document matters. It does. Every AI, no matter who you're using, has a thing called context and context rot. Context rot is the ability to lose context over time. So basically, the longer the conversation goes, the more the chatbot starts to forget. These chatbots, while extremely smart, data driven, and being, basic computer programs, they operate very much like humans. So much so they look for shortcuts and take ways out. So if you give it a huge document or a huge response, normally what we've learned, especially in the like last few months, is it'll read the very beginning and the very end, and it'll like scan what's in the middle. And that's kind of what you got to watch out for. And it's the same with like a long conversation. You might notice when you first start the conversation with any of these chatbots, you're getting incredible responses in the beginning, like in-depth responses with great details and great gems that like it's really explaining stuff that it's uncovering insights that you weren't picking up on. But then you might come back after, a couple of days and, the conversation's gotten really long, asking it to do the similar task for another ideal or another business. And you'll start to notice it's not responding the same. It's asking you for more manual input. It's giving you shorter responses. It's giving you more like quick summaries. It's losing context. You need to start a new conversation. Sometimes saving the file or saving the conversation is a good way. And you like copying and pasting it into a Google Doc and then saving it as a PDF and then uploading that PDF or pasting the context in can help. Now, you just have to be aware, though, if you start a new conversation, pasting in all the context from a long conversation where it started to get bad, the first few responses will be good, excuse me, and will pertain to all the knowledge you gave it, but it will quickly lose context. So if it took, just for example, 20, 25 messages in the conversation to lose context before and to start generating bad messages, it might be 3 messages this time. And this is, give or take. You have to experiment and see how it works for you. But this is just kind of the limits of how it works right now. Then we have a question from Elizabeth. Sorry, which one do you say is best for finding information from X/Twitter? That one was Grok, and it's Grok. It's Twitter/is X own their own AI. So if you pay for a premium version of Twitter or X, you get access to that chat bot. It's literally on the sidebar of all the options in X. Misty asked which chat bot is better for long research papers. They forget. They okay, yeah, they all kind of forget. As I said, Perplexity is great for the website research if you're doing, asking, find other data points on the internet. If you're just searching throughout, if you have all your research, right now, what people are kind of saying, and these all change based on the updates, but it's Claude. They think Claude writes the most human sounding, the most conversational sounding, and the most insightful. So that's just how it stands at the moment. And lastly, is it more private in terms of your personal information to store your files in the cloud platform rather than your PC when sharing your files for links? Oh, when sharing files. Okay, good question. I don't know the exact answer, so I can't, speak to this exactly per se, but I would say you'd have more control over having your documents in your cloud of choice, so Google Drive, Dropbox, and then, sharing that and then turning off that when you want to, because that way they only can access the information at that time. To whereas if you've uploaded files and you've started conversations, those files and those questions, those will always be in the database of your conversations. So it will always have that. Now, again, you can opt out and say, don't train on this data. But again, crazier things have happened. So it may end up getting toggled back on, or, it may leak, something like that. So just best case scenario would be to either go enterprise to make sure they know they cannot touch your data, or to, like you said, integrate your cloud. Bill asked, Daniel, your excellent overview so far has how to find content. What if you're a content creator and want your content to be found as an expert? Broader content, can you chat a bit about answer engine optimization versus SEO? Okay, okay. I'll come back to these questions. These are really good questions. I just want to move a little further in the presentation. And also, I think some of these things will kind of address these things, but then we can really just dive in and just brainstorm on how we could use these things and get seen. Not a problem at all. Okay, let me get back over here. And then just to wrap up Perplexity, it has the best search integration, language support in many languages, just like the rest. It has data analysis, and it has a screen share feature. Now, other tools like Gemini has this, but it's only on the dev side, which means it's not on the consumer facing Gemini product yet. I guarantee it will be, especially in the coming weeks or months. But right now, the only app that I've seen use this is Perplexity. And what the screen share feature allows you to do is share your entire screen when talking or prompting Perplexity. So if I'm in an app, for example, and say it's the very first time I've used this app, I can start to ask questions to Perplexity on if I'm using the app right. Like, or if I don't need to, if I need to figure out where something is in the menus per se. Or another good example is a tax document. Say you've downloaded a tax document to fill out for your business, and it's something new, a tax document you haven't had to fill out in previous years, and you're kind of concerned. You can open that up, turn on the screen share feature, start filling it out. And when you get to certain boxes that you're like, I don't know what I should put in here. What does this mean? You can ask it and it will tell you, oh, box 10A is for this type of data. And in your situation, you would have to put this, or based on your situation, you wouldn't have to put this. Or it might even say, I don't know enough about your situation. Can you give me more? And you can tell it and it can respond accordingly. Just to answer Deborah real quick, yes, you will receive a copy of this Zoom presentation at the end, and it will include all these slides. So everything I'm talking about will be included. So just to summarize, all these chatbots, if you're looking to only pay $20 and only subscribe to one right now, I would say ChatGPT. It's the best all-around chatbot when it comes to writing articles, doing it can do the online research. Again, Perplexity is best, but if we want to pay for one, it's decent enough at it. It can generate images. It now has video, so it has a whole lot of everything. Um, you can code with it. Everything over around the curve is the best, like as far as just general use cases. Now, when it comes to Claude, again, Claude is a front runner at the moment at coding and natural sounding writing. And you'll hear if you're, online a lot, Claude is competing with ChatGPT. Some people think ChatGPT's Codex is the best AI to use to help code. Some people think Claude Code is the best way to go about AI coding. It's all preferences and just updates in the model. Because that's one thing you'll come to find out. A model could be amazing one week, it could get an update a week or two later, and that could drastically change the results. Gemini is the best at asset creation, so generating images, videos, etc. And then Perplexity, as I said, the best at real-time search. So, how can these AI chatbots help with your business? That's the main reason we're all here, right? It can democratize tasks. Most tasks that were designated to specialists, such as writing blog content or performing data analysis or coding a website, can now be done by everyone with the assistance of these chatbots. So, things you can do and try today. You can write SEO friendly blogs and social media content to improve your online visibility. You can write email responses to common inquiries. You can help create product descriptions for your website. You can help draft up newsletter drafts, and you can create personas, customer personas. You can ask it to help you create competitive analysis and competitive analysis summaries. You can help it create standard operating procedure documents, SOPs. You can ask it for checklists for your reoccurring procedures. You can ask it help you create job descriptions. You can give it your own articles and ask it to proofread and help you edit those. You can even ask it to help you brainstorm solutions to your business problems, help it ask for pricing strategy considerations. You can have it help you conduct SWOT analysis and competitive research. You can really, this is a great use case, have it explain complex topics in more simpler terms. And of course, you can even have it code a landing page or an analytics dashboard for you and create marketing assets such as graphics and videos. So right now, I just have ChatGPT right here opened up in front of me. This is just a screenshot, but I just want to just go over some of the use cases and some of the things you can create, some of the results. Again, most all of these chatbots are competing to keep up with each other, so you'll find similar features in all of them. So again, this is someone just asking ChatGPT to tell me everything about launching an autonomous delivery business. And instead of getting a quick answer, they've clicked on the plus sign and they've went down to deep research. So they're getting back a long article. And it looks something like this. They're getting back a long article. It's probably several pages long that's in depth. It's going over pain points, it's going over major pitfalls, common best practices, stuff that you would really need to consider when starting a new business. And then, of course, you can download this article for yourself, or you can share the link with a partner or someone else that you want them to see the same article on the web without having to download. Next up, someone asked, summarize next week's calendar. Please note any external conflicts and suggest a 60-minute focus time slot. Now, they clicked on and they're using connectors, which, as I mentioned previously earlier, connects to third parties. So they have it set up, it's connected to their GitHub to read their code, it's set up to their Gmail, their Google Drive, Slack. So it's able to read the messages in their Slack, read the documents in their Notion, read the documents in their Google Drive, and just pull in context. For this, we're talking about their calendar. So it's probably bringing in Google Calendar and anything that's in Gmail that could apply. And then it broke down a long response. It showed all the coming events that they had every day for that week, showed potential conflicts that they might want to watch out for. And further in the results, it suggested that focus time. Next up is this Codex over to the left hand side. So, right where you can start a new chat, there's a part called Codex. When you click on Codex, this allows you to ask it to create code. There's two buttons on the side, ask and code. Ask allows you to ask the chatbot to like come up with a plan or a document or even come up with the code, but not to implement the code. So this way, this is not overriding your directory, overriding your code base. It's not adding code to your code base. It's just telling you what it thinks we should do. To whereas if you hit code, it's actually going to write out the code for you. And it's either going to let you download the code as a separate code file, or if you're connected to GitHub, it's going to connect to your repo and update the code. So if I say, update a website, it will literally start coding that part of the website. And here's just kind of what Codex looks like on the back end when you have these tasks. And as you'll notice here, like this says open. So this means this is what it's working on right now, refactoring this statement. And when it says green right here, green +1, green, whatever the number is, that's how many new lines of code it's added. And the red number is how many lines of code it deleted. So when editing code. Next up, we have someone that said, show me the data on these posts. It pretty much uploaded a PDF of a whole lot of social media posts, like what people are saying on Twitter, LinkedIn, X about a specific brand. From that, they were able to get a breakdown on conversation by topics and mentions. So right now, what platforms are they getting mentioned on the most? There's Threads, YouTube, Instagram. Right here, we can clearly see YouTube's the leader. They're getting talked about the most on YouTube. So this can start to help you inform your social media strategy and your content strategy, where you're posting the most at. And then here's how those results are happening over time. Man, just useful business insights to have. Next, someone asked to create an analytics dashboard built in React. So this is probably done again using Codex, because this will be coded and built out and be interactive. But you can also give it that PDF of data so it builds out an interactive dashboard with your real data, as long as you're comfortable with that or on the enterprise plan. And that would look something like this. You'd be right here on the left hand side talking to it and then uploading that data. And here's what it will build for you. And you can download the code, you can publish this, and this one page analytics dashboard will be available to you and you can actually use it. Now, the only problem here is it's just based on this one conversation and this one piece of data you gave it. So to make it more than that, you would have to obviously code more and do a lot more to it. But to simply give it data and to get a dashboard quickly, just so you can visualize those insights, it's incredible to have in this day and age. Next up, this is kind of with the content again, and this is, we're looking to asset generation. So this person said, create a social media post for a new sneaker with colorway and price variations by market. And it created this image. It created the tennis shoe by itself. They created the ad spec, new 150. And this isn't the whole conversation, but if you had the whole conversation, there was two, three other ones. One was yellow, one was pink. The pink one was Japanese, so it was in Japanese writing. It was very interesting. So it's very smart. Now, again, with that said, these items do hallucinate. So you want to make sure, does the sneaker look realistic? Is there any imperfections? Is the Japanese writing in the Japanese post truly Japanese and does it make sense? So you'd want to look that up or confer with an expert. This is just an image of the ChatGPT phone app when you're using voice. All of these apps have the voice mode where you can simply put it into voice mode. And now we're just having a conversation back and forth. ChatGPT is talking to me like Siri and is asking me the questions or the insight it needs to learn more about my problem. I'm responding and it's responding back with what it thinks. And we're literally bouncing right off each other in real time. This is one of my favorite features, if I'm being honest. So I say all this to summarize, it's a new day. You never have to start with a blank page again. In my experience, a huge hurdle for business owners, creatives, content creators is just starting a new project and starting with that blank slate, that blank draft, that blank Word doc, that blank code editor, just having some place to get started. And ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, they're all wonderful at doing this, having that person to bounce ideas off of and to just start with a template, start with an idea, to brainstorm 20 ideas. And even if they're all garbage, maybe they can spark the idea that can get you going. So again, you don't have to start with a blank page, and you never have to ideate alone anymore. You always have someone to bounce ideas off of. Personally, I have a great friend and business partner I work with a lot. He is a very personable person. He loves, coming into the office, working with a team. He kind of, his Achilles heel to him is working alone, working from home, not having that person to bounce off ideas off of. So when I showed him Chat GPT and showed him the voice mode and the ability to talk and have those real-time communications and conversations, it blew his mind and it just changed everything for him. I feel like it not only made him more productive, but it made him more creative. He's having a lot more conversations that he probably would have kept in his head or never had the thought to have. So it's really interesting how you can use this. So AI is your new employee. These chatbots are your new team. We got to act accordingly. So if you had a new hire, you wouldn't make vague requests from the new hire, like build out a landing page for our marketing initiative or write a social media post for my brand. That's too vague. You would provide context to that employee around your company, its goals, and the tasks you're looking for them to perform. This could include examples, documents, and more. Using AI, of course, is no different. Provide that context on who you are and what you're looking for. Show it examples of the results you're looking to achieve. And the same way you wouldn't normally send off a one time, one paragraph request to your new hire, you shouldn't do that with AI either. The conversation doesn't end after one response. Ask for variations, ask for expansions, or ask for completely different approaches and takes on the problem that you're having it solve. Next, I would say learn the language. So we've established these chatbots are simply employees, right? These are your new employees. Well, think about every new employee you hire. They normally are there to serve a specific title or role. And that role may be something like a marketer, designer, content creator, developer. Each role normally comes with its own language, specific jargon or phrases that the employee working in that role usually knows. The more you can explain a task to AI, and and give it the desired outcome you want, especially using the terms and jargon for that field, you will greatly increase the quality of that chatbot's output. So, like in design, for example, we have terms like golden ratio, negative space, etc. If you're not a designer, you might not know to say that. You might just be saying, "Give me a lot of space in my design," or don't have everything so close together. And that may work, it may not, but using the correct terms give you a greater chance of the correct output. And so using that language is best. And if you don't know the language, I'll speak on a great way to find the language. Hopefully you can see this. If not, again, you will be getting these slides emailed to you. But this is my prompt template here for learning the language. This entire thing in the quotes is the prompt. I would copy this and paste it in. Now, the only thing you have to change are these two brackets right here. So it says, I'm preparing for a role as a job title in the industry field. Please help me master the professional vocabulary by extracting the essential terms, defining each term, providing context, etc. All you need to change is those items in the bracket. Change the job title, change the industry. You can even delete the industry and just put the job title. But if you put those in and then if you paste this entire prompt into an AI, change the job title to what you want, and change the industry if that applies, you'll get a result like this. I put UX designer in the ed tech space because that's what I do at Treehouse. It says I need to know not only about personas, because creating user personas and customer personas is a big thing in UX design, but it says specifically learner personas, like for the different types of students or learners we have in our program. That's perfect and super specific to my use case because of what I put in there. Same with the next term, scaffolding. Next up, I want to be a filmmaker, but I took out the field. So I just did the job title, filmmaker, and it gave me a whole lot of terms such as blocking, shot list, etc. And then when I want to generate video or images, it helps to know like a close-up shot, a wide shot, a dolly, a zoom in. Those are all filmmaking terms. I didn't know all of them, so I asked, and then it gave me some terms, but some terms might not have specifically applied for why I needed them. I needed them for the AI use case. So then I just prompted again, okay, give me those terms specifically for camera movement, for using the camera, for lighting. Then I started to learn like what harsh lighting is, what soft lighting is, and you can use that in your prompt. Create an ad that uses hard lighting, uses soft lighting, uses negative fill. It'll change the outlook and appearance of your created assets. Here's an example of what I just mentioned. Further down, I asked it to really get granular with the shots. So it told me an overhead shot or a top shot. And this is the camera position directly above, looking straight down. So now I know if I put that in a prompt, I'll get that style of shot, similar to POV or point of view. That's from the character's perspective, like playing a video game and you only see your hands. That's, first person's perspective or POV. So now when I say do a POV shot of us in the grocery store, I know it won't show the character in the grocery store. It'll show us like we're looking around in a grocery store. These are all awesome things to use. And I just want to say, becoming efficient with AI doesn't have to mean downsizing your staff or your team. More so, it means you can upskill your team and increase the results. Just like we spoke on earlier, a lot of these tasks previously were designated for specific roles. There was only the designer could create the design assets. Only the developer could code the new website. That's not the case anymore. A lot of people can. So I would say try to adopt these strategies and tactics for adopting AI in your business. First, start with the repetitive tasks. Identify what you do repeatedly that takes mental energy. These are the perfect AI candidates. So, tasks you're doing in your business every day. If you're always having to write a welcome message, onboarding docs, just reply emails that are very similar, start to template that out or start to hand that off to AI so you get that back much quicker and much faster. Build a prompt library, whether it's just in one of these apps by just saving the threads off to the side. But personally, what I would do is kind of create a Notion doc or a new Google doc and paste in your prompts and just save these prompts over time. When you find that a prompt that you're using provides the same type of answer you want every time or a really good answer every time, that's pretty good indicator, a pretty good signal that you'll want to keep that prompt and keep reusing that prompt. So copy that, save it to your library, and just always reference that if you ever need it again. And I'm pretty sure we've discussed this before, but iterate, don't expect perfection. So, as we discussed, treat your assistant like you're working with an intern. Give feedback, refine, adjust, make it more casual, add specific pricing, those type of things. Like, tell it what you want, it can understand it. Then let the whole team experiment. Like I said, as we talked about earlier, AI democratizes this entire situation to where more specialized tasks can be performed by anyone. So allow anybody on the team, allow the marketer to code a landing page, allow your HR person to create new social media content. It's just it levels the playing field. Experiment and let everyone on the team give their shot at expressing themselves and coming up with great ideas to boost your business, because you never really know where that next great idea or that next idea that really takes off and works is going to come from. Now, here's some of the common misconceptions about AI. First of all, I hear this all the time, kind of just in the AI field, and this is the worst it will ever be. I agree with the overall sentiment that AI will continuously get better in the years. So this is kind of the worst iteration that we have using it. It will only get better. However, as I mentioned, updates to the tools, updates to the models can change or hurt the results drastically. Sometimes, you could talk to Claude for writing, for instance, natural sounding writing, and it can be incredible, but it doesn't take nothing but a simple update. And it doesn't have to be like a complete app update. It could just be a simple update that they rolled out that now it operates a little differently, which means to get the result that you're used to, you might have to prompt it a little differently, whether that's changing how you prompt it, like the prompt itself, or providing more context, providing examples of what you want, of what your articles written by you look like, sound like, what your content looks like, etc. So those type of things. And let's jump back in real quick to the questions. I see Yinka has their hand raised. We'll jump on that, but give me 1 second. I don't want to miss out on these other people that had questions as well. Okay, if you sign up Wednesday and Thursday sessions, okay, that's just talking about the slides. Everyone will receive presentation after the event. How deep into professional literature, such as current medical peer review journals, do these chatbots dive? Okay, interesting and great question. Barbara was asking, when it comes to professional literature, um, how deep do they go? I find it depends again on the chatbot and how long or deep the literature is. If you're giving it a whole book, again, you have to really watch these chatbots becoming lazy, if you will, to where it's picking and choosing what it's reading from. Like it'll read a big bulk of the beginning, a bulk of the end, but it's skimming through the middle. So it could miss out on some things. And but for what you're talking about, like the medical documents specifically, what I would recommend is a separate product. It's called Notebook LM. This is a Google product, and I'm pretty sure you get access to it if you have Google Gemini, but I'm pretty sure there's a free plan as well. What you can do with Notebook LM is you can talk to it and prompt it just like a regular chatbot, but you can upload any type of documents. You can upload videos, audio, and complete books. But then you can ask it questions about that document, and it's made for that specifically. So I think it'll handle that job better. And it has some really interesting use cases and capabilities, such as you can summarize the entire book that you give it into a podcast. It will take two AI voices, a male and a female, and have them talk back and forth about that medical document you gave it, like a 10-20 minute podcast. And just, oh, today we're talking about gastritis, this is it, whatever the medical paper was on. And it's a really interesting and fun way to quickly just listen to like something like a podcast almost and to learn those insights that you were looking to get. But again, you could talk to it, ask it questions, ask it to pull up specific chapters, and kind of like Gemini with the learn mode and like creating flashcards and tests. Notebook LM does all that as well. Yinka asked, and I hope I'm saying your name right. When generating prompts in a paid subscription to Claude, do you recommend prefacing the prompt with a sentence that asks the chatbot to first imagine themselves as whatever field of required expertise? Imagine you're a real estate agent. Imagine you're that. This is a common prompting technique. So it's just you could say imagine you are, or some people just say you are and just start it off with you are. So like you are a strategic writer, you are a copywriter, you are a developer, and it kind of limits the chatbot's generalized knowledge. So it doesn't look all over its database for everything it's ever read or thought of. It's specifically trying to filter only the data that's applies to the persona. So if you're a developer, it's trying to stick to the developer topics, if that makes sense. And yeah, I think that is a great way to do it. I don't think you always have to do it. It always it kind of depends the circumstance, but I think it's a great way to do it. And I think if you're going to be doing specific tasks, the same way I said you should learn your job role or the job title's vocabulary, it's an awesome, a great way to prompt the AI by saying you are this job title. So you are a social media expert. You are a social media manager. Help me come up with 10 ideas. It just puts it in that mind frame. And I will say it works way more than it doesn't. So I would say this is a great technique to use. Yinka also asked, currently Fixer AI is a tool that reads Gmail and provides responses for the user to choose to send or not. To my knowledge, it's currently not available for Yahoo Mail. Is there a product like Fixer AI that works in Yahoo Mail? Yinka, I honestly don't know. Similar to a lot of the chatbots I've seen that have the ability to like integrate with your mailbox, they've normally only been a Gmail. I think I think some of them are integrating the Microsoft inboxes, so the Outlook, OG, Hotmail, that sort of thing. But that's even still kind of just being rolled out. I haven't seen anybody using Yahoo at the moment. Will you provide the link to the YouTube channel here in the chat? It's the St. Louis County Library YouTube channel. So if you just search St. Louis County Library, you will see that come up for sure. And can you chime in on ethical and responsible use of AI, both professionally and academically? Ebony asked this question, and absolutely. I'm not an ethics expert by any means, so I don't want to just jump on the train. But you know, all of these tools are trained on data. They all started out using open source data, public domain data. Then they started purchasing data from different companies, Amazon, YouTube, companies that have a lot of Facebook that have that data. So that way they can better inform their LLMs and their models. However, some people don't ethically go about getting that information. That's why they're being sued now. Some people have stolen like books from educators from like published through O'Reilly and Printers Press, these sort of things. And they're coming into issues with that. Um, you have to kind of decide if you're comfortable using that. What I will say, I recommend Anthropic's Claude. Again, Claude is the safety first AI chatbot. And this isn't to say they're perfect. I'm pretty sure they've had to, pay some brands for using some content as well. Like their training data was used from someone else's proprietary stuff. But sometimes that can leak in from other outsources or the internet. So that's just how it works. But Anthropic's Claude is the most safest and is supposed to be trained on more ethically sourced data that they either got from public domain or they paid for. Very similar to these AIs that can generate images and video. Adobe has one. They have a chatbot called Adobe Firefly that can create images and create video. Well, Adobe Firefly was trained completely on Adobe stock and all their own videos and photo library. So it's a safe way to generate new video and new images. It's not basically generating images or videos based off other artists' work. So it's a lot safer and it's a lot more ethical, in my opinion. But again, errors and inconsistencies and wrongdoing can sneak through. But those two are what I would say the most ethical and safe to use at the moment. Ashwin asked, which model does the best at converting tables inside documents as pictures or websites into an Excel file? Let me think about this. Which model does the best at converting tables inside documents as pictures or a website? I would have to say Claude Code would probably be the best way to go with this. Any of them are hit or miss. Taking the data and putting it into an image, they'll all struggle with. ChatGPT might be the front runner there just because I've seen it have the most success with images and text. A lot of AIs, when generating an image, the text makes no sense. It's just gibberish. uh, AI is getting better at that, and ChatGPT is real good at that. But if it's a complete data set, like a full table, so there's a lot of text, I do think it will start creating inconsistencies. So at that point, I think you'll probably want to create like a website table, and Claude Code would be amazing at that. Um, we have 5 minutes left. Just a heads up, everyone. So I'm gonna just run through these last few slides. There's not many at all, I think, and then we'll get back to these last couple questions. Another common misconception of AI is it can understand us. AI doesn't understand like a human normally does. It's more putting together words and recognizing patterns. It's not understanding, and it's a little more than random guessing. What it does is it's analyzed these billions of data sets, and it's found patterns in the language. So much so it can kind of simulate understanding, which is capturing context, grammar, and logic. This makes the output it spits out feel coherent and useful, and not just a random string of guesses. Also, AI doesn't know what's happening live. It goes back to the real time search thing. AI models don't know real time events. Their training data stops at a fixed date. Web search can help, of course, but this is technically a workaround. Models are just summarizing the web results when it does these searches, and it's not truly learning anything. What it's doing is taking those summarizations and mixing it with the old info, which can normally work, but it could also produce inaccuracies. And then continuing on the inaccuracies, AI said it, so it must be true. As I mentioned earlier, AI models don't understand, they do their best to predict, and they're not always right. So, because of this, their output is not always correct. They can be wrong. Sometimes AI grabs the wrong information, or sometimes it creates completely new information just because what it thinks it should put based off those patterns in the text. This is what we call hallucination in the AI space. So when the AI starts just making up stuff on its own and just trying to gaslight you, if you will, that it's right, like this is what it's supposed to be. That's a hallucination, and that's very common in the AI space. Lastly, I just have these resources. Again, when you get this presentation, you'll be able to click on any of these to go to that specific chat bot, use it for free, and then sign up for a play plan if you so wish. And lastly, this is just the Team Treehouse website, teamtreehouse.com. This link you can click on to go to it. And this is just in case you want to learn more about Team Treehouse. We have all types of courses, some on coding, some on business, a plenty on AI and using AI chatbots, using AI chatbots to help in your business, help in everyday life, help with coding. We even have business courses. So just something you may be interested in and want to take a look at. And that's it. That's pretty much the entirety of my presentation. Hope this information was helpful and useful, and I hope you can get some usage out of this. And be sure, like the prompt I shared about getting vocabulary using Claude that was early on, you can copy that if you're on like a Mac or Apple product. You can copy it straight from the image, or you can just screenshot that image and paste it in. That's a great prompt to really get that technical lingo you need. But let's just jump back to any quick questions that we can. Jennifer asked, my son is a young adult, majored in computer science, and is currently employed as a software engineer. Should he get more training in AI or segue to AI? I've heard of a profession called prompt engineer. Um, Great question, Jennifer. Great. Prompt engineering is definitely a new thing. And it's just like learning how to talk to the AIs to get the best results. It became a topic and a title and like almost a new career. But I would say that's kind of changing as things go. It won't be as important as the models get better and better. Right now, the structure prompts really help with the output, but as they get better and better, you'll be able to talk to it more naturally and younger. But I would say keep the interest in AI and use AI to learn even more about computer science. And if he's looking to be a coder or software engineer, AI will help him greatly. There's so many engineers now that use AI to help them code and are producing results 10, 20 times faster than they ever could before. Tom said, thank you. Thank you. And Yinka said the large language models used in the US, are they based on the US English, or are they based on English variations globally? I will say they're prompted trained on data globally. So they'll know everything and they can even respond in different languages. So that's a good way to go. They are programmed to respond in English by default, but you can ask it for any other language or any other specific language or cultural thing. It does have a lot of context. Shared my LinkedIn profile. Yeah, you can find me everywhere. on slash no code Dan. So just like that. But Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, anywhere you want to find me at. If I have a profile, I'll be no code Dan on there. And I know we're running out of time here.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and jump in there. Thank you so much, Dan, for
Mhm.
sharing your time and your expertise with us today. I thought this was a really great presentation. I learned a ton about all the different models and stuff. So thank you so much.
No problem.
I added a few links a little bit up in the chat. The first one was to St. Louis County Library's Treehouse access. You can actually get access to Treehouse with your library card. If you're interested in doing that, fill out the registration form that's on that page. I also put a link to the feedback form for this conference session in the chat. Uh, we really value your feedback on all the sessions that we're hosting throughout this week. So please go ahead and fill that out if you can. And if you don't get that link right now, you will have another opportunity when we send you the email with the slides and video recording. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.